Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Prosper Channel, where we talk about prosperity life hacks. I'm Isabella.
And I'm Dave. It's so good to be back with all of you. How are you doing today, Isabella?
I'm doing great, Dave. I'm feeling really energized and excited for our topic today. It's something I think about a lot, and I believe it's a cornerstone of a truly prosperous life.
Oh, I'm intrigued. When you get that excited, I know it's going to be a good one. So what are we diving into today?
Well, today we are going to talk about something that affects everyone, from students to professionals, in our friendships, and even in our families. We're going to discuss why we shouldn't change our core identity just to get approval from others. We'll explore the important difference between healthy adaptation and losing yourself.
Wow, that is the big topic and a very important one. It's so easy to fall into that trap, isn't it? The desire to be liked is like powerful human feeling.
Exactly. And before we get into the heart of it, we want to ask you, our amazing listeners, for a little favor. If you enjoy our conversations, please take a moment to give this episode a thumbs up, subscribe to Mr. Prosper Channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. It helps our community grow.
Yes, please do. Your support means the world to us. Okay, Isabella, let's start. This idea of changing for approval, where do you think this pressure comes from?
That's a great starting point. I think it comes from many places. Sometimes it's very obvious, like when you start a new job and you see that everyone acts a certain way, and you think, okay, I need to be like that to fit in and be successful here.
Right, the company culture thing. You might be a very expressive, loud person, but the office is super quiet and formal, so you feel you have to become quiet and formal too. Not just in your behavior, but in who you are.
Precisely. And then there's social media, which is a huge source of pressure. We see these perfect lives, and people get so much validation, so many likes and positive comments for looking, thinking, and acting a certain way. It can make you question if your own real life is good enough.
Oh, absolutely. You see someone getting praised for a certain opinion, and you might think twice about sharing your own different opinion. You start to filter yourself. You post the pictures you think people will approve of, not necessarily the ones that truly represent your life.
And it's not just work or online. It can happen in our personal relationships, too. When you start dating someone, you might pretend to love their hobbies like fishing or watching sci-fi movies, even if you find them boring. You want them to like you, so you create a version of yourself that you think is more likable.
I think many people have been there. You're nodding your head and pretending to be fascinated by the history of a specific spaceship, but inside you're thinking about what you want for dinner. It seems harmless at first, right? Just a little white lie to build a connection.
It does seem harmless. And this is where we need to talk about the big difference, adapting versus changing. Because adapting is actually a good and necessary skill for life.
Okay, I think this is the key. Let's break that down. What does healthy adaptation look like to you?
For me, adapting is about adjusting your behavior to be respectful and effective in a new environment without changing your core values or personality. For example, if you visit a country where it's polite to be quiet in public spaces, you lower your voice. You're not changing who you are, you're just respecting the local culture. You're still the same person, just a quieter version for that situation.
That makes sense. It's like learning a new set of rules for a new game. At a new job, you adopt by learning the professional way to write emails or how to participate in meetings. You're adding a new skill to your toolbox. You're not throwing your whole toolbox away and getting a new one.
What a perfect analogy, Dave. You're adding tools. You're not replacing your whole identity. This is something I have personal experience with. As you know, I'm from Brazil, but I also lived in Canada for a while. The cultures are very different in some ways.
I can only imagine. Tell us a bit about that. How did you have to adapt?
Well, Brazilians are generally very warm, expressive, and physically affectionate. We hug and kiss on the cheek to greet people, we talk with our hands, and we can be quite loud and energetic. In Canada, people are also very kind and friendly, but often a bit more reserved, especially with people they don't know well. Personal space is more defined.
So what happened when you first got there? Did you just go around hugging everyone?
I tried to, and I quickly realized that it wasn't the standard greeting, so I had to adapt. I learned to give a friendly wave or a handshake instead of a hug. I learned to moderate my voice in quiet cafes. This was adaptation. I was respecting the social norms of my new home.
That seems completely reasonable. You were just adjusting your communication style.
Yes, but then there was a point where I felt it was going too far. I started to worry that my Brazilianness was too much. I started to suppress my bubbly personality because I wanted to fit in so badly. I stopped telling jokes that were part of my humor because I was afraid they wouldn't land well. I started to feel like I was erasing parts of myself.
And how did that feel?
It felt empty and incredibly lonely. I was surrounded by new friends, but I had this feeling that they didn't know the real me. They knew this more serious, quiet version of Isabella. I was changing my identity for their approval, and it was making me unhappy. I realized that adapting is fine, but changing your core self is a recipe for misery.
Thank you for sharing that, Isabella. It's such a powerful example. It shows that there is a clear line, and crossing it has real emotional consequences. What are some of the dangers of changing your core identity for others?
I think the biggest danger is that you lose your connection to yourself. You forget what you actually like, what you actually believe, and what you actually want out of life. Your life starts being directed by other people's expectations instead of your own inner compass.
That sounds exhausting. It's like you're an actor in a play 24/7. You always have to be on, remembering your lines and your character. You can never just relax and be yourself. The mental energy that must take is huge.
It is, and it leads to a lot of anxiety and stress. You're constantly worried about being found out. What if they discover you don't actually like hiking? What if they find out you have different political views? You live in fear of your true self being exposed because you believe your true self is not good enough.
Wow, when you put it that way, it's clear how damaging it can be. And here's another problem. If you change yourself to get friends or a partner, you attract people who like the fake you.
Exactly. So you're stuck. To keep these relationships, you have to keep up the act. Let's say you pretended to be a very adventurous, outdoorsy person to impress your new group of friends. Now, every weekend, they want to go rock climbing and kayaking. You have to either confess that you lied, or you have to spend your weekends doing something you hate, feeling miserable, and probably not very good at it.
Right, and you end up resenting the very people you tried so hard to impress. You think, why do they always want to go kayaking? Well, because you made them think you love kayaking. It's a trap you build for yourself.
It truly is. True connection, real friendship, and authentic love are built on honesty. It's about someone seeing the real you, flaws and all, and loving you for it, not for a perfect character you invented.
So true. A prosperous life isn't just about money or success. It's about having genuine relationships and a sense of inner peace. And you can't have that peace if you're not at home in your own skin.
I couldn't agree more. So this brings us to the practical part of our podcast, the life hacks. How can our listeners practice being more authentic? How can they resist the pressure to change?
Okay, I have a few ideas. I think the first and most important step is self-awareness. You cannot be true to yourself if you don't know who yourself is.
Know yourself. It sounds simple, but it's a deep concept. How do you do that?
You have to spend some time in quiet reflection. Ask yourself some fundamental questions. What are my core values? What principles are non-negotiable for me? Is it honesty, kindness, creativity, loyalty? Write them down.
That's a great exercise. When you know your values, it's easier to make decisions. If honesty is a core value, then pretending to like something feels wrong on a deeper level.
Exactly. Another question to ask is, what do I genuinely enjoy? Not what's popular or what your friends enjoy, but what makes you happy. Is it reading a book on a rainy day, playing video games, gardening, cooking? Make a list of your true passions. These are parts of your authentic identity.
I love that. It's like creating a map of your own personality. So once you have a better idea of who you are, what's the next step?
The next step is to practice small acts of authenticity. You don't have to make a huge, dramatic declaration. Start small. For example, the next time your friends are all talking about a TV show you don't like, you don't have to pretend you love it. You can just say, I couldn't really get into that one, but I'm glad you all enjoy it. What I've been watching recently is...
Oh, that's a fantastic low-pressure way to do it. You're not being confrontational. You're just stating your preference calmly and kindly. You are sharing a piece of your real self. Another small act could be with your style. Wear that bright yellow shirt you love, even if your friends all wear black. It's a small, visual way of saying, this is me.
Yes, it's about closing the gap between your inner self and your outer self. Every time you do that, you build self-confidence. You teach your brain that it is safe to be you.
That leads to a third tip, which I think is crucial. Surround yourself with the right people. If you are constantly around people who judge you or who you feel you have to perform for, being authentic will be an uphill battle.
This is so important. Look for friends who celebrate your uniqueness, not just tolerate it. The friends who love your quirky sense of humor or your passion for a nerdy hobby. Those are your people. It's better to have 2 or 3 authentic friendships where you can be 100% yourself than 20 superficial friendships where you have to wear a mask.
Quality over quantity always. When you have a supportive group, it gives you the courage to be yourself in other areas of your life, like at work or with family. You have a safe base to return to.
And a fourth tip could be to reframe how you see adaptation. Don't see it as a loss of self. See it as a skill you are developing. When you're in a situation that requires you to adapt, you can say to yourself, I am now practicing my skill of being respectful and socially aware. This is a sign of my intelligence and empathy. This doesn't change who I am at my core.
I love that reframe. It puts you in a position of power and choice rather than making you feel like a victim of circumstances. You are choosing to adapt your behavior for a specific, positive reason, not because you think the real you is wrong.
Precisely, and my final tip would be to practice self-compassion. This is not easy. You will have moments where you fall back into old habits. You might catch yourself telling a white lie to fit in. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just notice it without judgment and say, okay, that's an old pattern. Next time, I will try to be a little more authentic. Progress, not perfection.
Self-compassion is key. Being human is a messy, beautiful process. The goal is to be true to yourself, but we also have to be kind to ourselves along the journey. Embracing your authentic self is a lifelong practice, not a one-time decision.
So to summarize our life hacks for staying true to yourself. First, get to know yourself and your values. Second, practice small daily acts of authenticity. Third, curate a supportive circle of friends. Fourth, reframe adaptation as a skill. And fifth, always be kind and compassionate with yourself.
That's a perfect summary, Dave. And I want to add one final thought. Living authentically is the ultimate act of self-respect. It's telling yourself, I am enough, just as I am. And that belief, that confidence, is the foundation for all other kinds of prosperity in your life. When you accept yourself, you open the door for others to do the same.
Absolutely. People are drawn to genuine energy. When you are authentic, you radiate a confidence that is magnetic. You will find that you attract the right opportunities, the right people, and the right kind of happiness into your life. It all starts from within.
Well said. This has been such a wonderful conversation, Dave. I feel like we could talk about this for hours. It's just so central to a happy life.
I agree. I hope our listeners found it helpful and feel a little more empowered to be their amazing, unique selves.
I hope so too. And on that note, we want to say a huge thank you to everyone for tuning in to Mr. Prosper channel today.
We would love to continue this conversation with you. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and share this episode with a friend or family member who might enjoy it. And please leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear your story. When was a time you had to adapt? Have you ever felt the pressure to change who you are to fit in?
Your stories and insights are so valuable to our community. Thank you again for being here. I'm Isabella.
And I'm Dave. Until next time, stay true to yourself and keep prospering.